Preempting MGTOW. Before continuing, I'd like to define a presupposition. Women are biologically leftists, and leftists are effeminate in one form or another. They either have a vagina or are a mangina. Preemptive means to serve or intend to preempt or forestall something, especially to prevent attack by disabling the enemy. It's an adjective and would be used in a phrase such as preemptive attacks. This is an extremely important word for MGTOW to be aware of, to understand its meaning and how the device is used against MGTOW. It is important for everyone to be aware of it, but I want to focus on how it is used to attack MGTOW. MGTOW see this device used everywhere, and for the most part have been recognizing the tactics and techniques which complement preemptive attacks on MGTOW, but have not really focused on it as the primary tactic or technique used. MGTOW usually understand the tactic or technique it complements, such as shaming, which is used to try to silence you by propping up or reducing an argument against you, or by propping up or reducing an argument for the attacker. As the definition states, it is used to prevent attack by disabling an enemy. MGTOW usually is the enemy, and the attacker is anyone that is against MGTOW, usually the left. Shaming intends on shutting down debate without the use of logic, and usually utilizes ad hominem through some generalized blanket statement such as, "A real man would never do that," "Be a man," or "Don't be such a woman." This is virility, attacking your masculinity. Shaming comes from many different angles, also, such as how you get angry easily, irascible, cowardice, endangerment, how dangerous you are, fanaticism, overgeneralizations, misogyny, defeatism, inability of affection, unattractiveness, selfishness, instability, hypersensitivity, superficiality, childishness, or threats that no one will like you if you act like this or if you act like that. Another good example is gaslighting. After manipulating a situation, be it changing an established habit or procedure, to outright lying about having said something or doing something, an attacker will say something to the effect of, "Are you crazy? What are you talking about?" This is particularly damaging as it messes with someone's understanding of observable shared reality. The reality is that the person who says, "Are you crazy?" is either crazy themselves or, at the very least, evil. Even though the specific language used to attack MGTOW is wide and varied, including the buzzwords progressive, crisis, diversity, access, stigma, patriarchy, equality, justice, fairness, as well as misogynist, sexist, or racist, the phrases used against MGTOW always follow the same patterns. These words and phrases are used to preempt issues rather than debate issues, polarize themselves apart from MGTOW on a different moral and intellectual plane, and evade any personal responsibility or accountability. This verbal preemption is ubiquitous. We see it everywhere, and every time a foe opens their mouths. The phrase wage gap, for instance, is a preemptive phrase used for its political effect rather than for its contemporary or retrospective accuracy, which it has never possessed. The wage gap has never been current, perhaps maybe in past centuries, and it has never been accurate. At best, a lifetime earnings gap based on real characteristics, personal choices, and responsibilities. There are real situations where there is a wage gap. I myself live in Thailand, and I see this wage gap all the time if you were to hire a Burmese, Laotian, or Cambodian worker. However, when we hear the term wage gap in the West, it is coming from the mouth of an effeminate individual, a feminist, an ignorantly bigoted person, at the least, or, at the worst, an effeminate individual who is a feminist and an ignorantly bigoted person. When you hear a person state this wage gap as anything other than a myth, what is really being said by this euphemistic term is something needs to be done about paying women more money. And something needs to be done about paying women more money because these effeminate people have said there is a wage gap and want women to be paid more money. The phrase wage gap becomes one of the many phrases used as a substitute for both logic and evidence. Other phrases are self-contradictory, such as equal but different, patriarchy, when women enjoy more rights, privileges, and entitlements than anything in the history of Earth, or we just want equality but ignorantly ignore blatant situations where things are unequal and created by feminism itself, such as the disparity of women-men enrollment and graduation statistics for universities, violent stats against men and women, death rates between men and women at work, or suicide rates between men and women. The word feminism itself means what? If you ask feminists, it means equality. How can a word that focuses solely on 50% of the population and balkanizes to two sexes mean equality, particularly where there are already several words that mean equality, such as egalitarianism or equalitarianism? Purporting that feminism means equality is not even euphemistic. It's straight out of 1984. It's doublespeak, it's good think, it's belly feel, it's newspeak. Today, they use phrases like gun control or peace movement. What the heck? Gun control? What does that mean anyhow? Learn how to use and control your gun? I think not. When we talk about wage gap, should we just accept that phrase at face value, knowing that there are untold billions of lives depending on policy developed by the acceptance of that statement at face value? Understanding that some people might think that women deserve more money is expected. I think men deserve more money too. But something more substantive than these presumptions are required, and reducing analytical and factual issues to psychological propensities is very dangerous. Public service and public or social policy are very popular preemptive concepts. I assure you that the public or social policies implemented are not created by the public or society, nor are they for the entirety of the public or society, but quite the contrary. Public service can be anything, such as a plumber making sure your toilet is not backed up, or a farmer ensuring that his crop gets to market so you and I can eat. However, the left sees these people as consumed by, dare I say, a preemptive buzzword, greed. What is greed, and how is it defined? Is a man that earns money based on the gifts he has and exploits those gifts to earn billions of dollars greedy? Or is the man that is lazy, smokes weed, gambles, drinks, and fornicates all day, then robs the store merchant of his daily earnings greedy? And since the topic of greed is at hand, who gives more money away? Myself earning $100,000 a year, or myself earning $100 million a year? And dare I say that taxation is the epitome of greed. It is theft, not largesse. To the left, public service means huge government. It means more people working for jobs that are not driven by the greedy marketplace, meaning we would not have more farmers, but by third-party lobbies which want these specialized services for tiny spectrums of society, and they want these services and jobs paid for by you and me through the end of a barrel of a gun via taxation. Public service should not be defined by the public itself as services regarding how to spend its own money, but services defined for them by third-party experts. Could you imagine if we allowed the left to define the services of which our money was spent? There'd be no police, no phones, no roads, water, or sewage. There would be no civilization. There would be only that of which a woman makes. Upset men and babies.